In this tutorial, I'm gonna talk about this one space jump when got low-pincered like this. First of all, I would like to mention that this is a terrible Joseki to use during the early stage of the game. If you use it later in the game to get your cosmic style going on, then this could be an option, but if it's during the early game, this can't even considered as a Joseki because the result you get, which is black players and white players get at the end of the Joseki, is not even. Black gets a lot more than white. So if we look at the Joseki, when white jumps, black is going to jump and white is going to shoulder hit. Black says, "Can I go out?" White says no. And black extends, white extends, black extends again, white extends, and black jumps. This is the standard Joseki. If you look at this one, black got this side and black also got this side. On the other hand, white has absolutely no points, and this influence, we're not even sure if it's gonna worth anything later in the game. I included this Joseki in this project only because very occasionally you actually have to jump. But most of the time, it's your opponent is the one jumping. So I'm gonna teach you how to deal with this one space jump. From here, the thing you have to remember is black has this move over here. If white answers everything, then it's pretty cool. But white is not going to answer you like this. When black plays here, white is going to turn around and take the corner. If black blocks from this side, white first is going to hane, black hanes back, white connects, black needs to connect, and from here, if white slides out, then corner is alive. When white hanes, black can also block this side, and white is going to form a tiger's mouth. Black Ataris, white connects, and this is alive. One of the biggest reasons people jump like this is because black may have something like this. There is a potential. And white knows if white 3-3s the black, then black is going to block from this side and grow that moyo. If white doesn't have the confidence to reduce that moyo, then white would think, I'm going to jump to reduce your moyo. But this is actually a terrible decision because when black jumps, this part of the board is almost solidified as territories. And when white shoulder hits, black can first ask, can I go out? White says no. And black pushes, white extends, pushes again, extends again. And when black jumps, you see how great black is. This side is all blacks. This side is also blacks. White got no points. And this influence, it's barely worth anything because black has a stone over here. When your opponent jumps, I would like to add one more step to this Joseki. It will make your life much easier. When black jumps, and when white shoulder hits you, black, it's good to first kick this stone. 99.9% of the time, people are going to extend down. From here, you can push first. White extends. Ask if you can go out. If black stone goes out, white stones are split into two groups, so that's terrible. White says no. Black extends. White extends. And black jumps. From here, I believe most Q players and Dan players might tenuki as white from here, but white really needs to sneak in this move. Otherwise, later, black can throw a stone over here. If white Ataris from bottom, as soon as black extends, it's split it into two groups. That's terrible for white, so white has to Atari from top. When black connects, if white connects here, because you see this cutting point, immediate cutting point, then black first is going to ask, can I take this stone? If white says yes, then black can simply take it, and white has 2 unliving groups on the board. So that's a terrible result. White is going to extend, black is going to ask again. If white says nope, then you see the whole thing is dead. That's why from here, white needs to connect something over here. And black gets to cut off these 2 stones, and this is a huge amount of territory. When you're playing a game, unless your opponent exclusively studied Josekis or watched this project or is just crazy with his instinct, then your opponent won't know about this move over here. So when your opponent tenukis, whenever you want, you can throw a stone over here and win the game. What if in this situation, instead of your opponent's shoulder hitting you, he slides in first? Then you can say thank you and defend your corner. Then you don't have to worry about 3 threes or anything over there. And the chances are he's going to shoulder hit you again. You can do the normal one over here. And black jumps. From here, someone playing this move, he won't know about this move over here. Even if we didn't do the kick and extend exchange, because white gave the 3-3 to black, when black plays here, white blocks, and black can still cut it off and take the whole corner. When you kick your opponent, I think it's extremely unlikely, and I don't think anyone even knows this one, but there's still chance of white, instead of extending here, white could play here. Black harness, white extends, black extends, and white ataris. If you only look at this one, then this exchange seems like it's really good for black. White has almost nothing over here, but black got this huge corner. But you have to know, if you have a 3-star opener here, then there's gonna be a white stone over here. So white is building this side with this move. On top of that, if white wants at any time, white can peep over here. If black gets passive and blocks from this side, then white has a really good tesuji. Cut over here. If black doesn't do anything about it, well, as soon as white extends, the whole thing is going to die. So black has to atari, white ataris. When black connects, white can connect this stone back, and black stones are locked inside the corner, and this stone all of a sudden turned into a garbage dying stone. And white still has this moyo over here. That's why when white peeps over here, it's not good to block from this side. Black needs to block from this side. Then white is going to ask, can I come in? If black says no, white can simply slide out and destroy this part of the board. From here, if black says yes, go in, then white is going to peep here first. If black doesn't answer, this cut is going to be really painful. So black has to answer here, and white can take this 2-2 vital point and live inside the corner. If you look at this, black really has nothing left. White has a moyo over here, and white got the corner. Black has this stick of whatever it is doing nothing over here. That's why if get into this situation, then black could defend the corner with another move, but white with sente can keep expanding, and this is too slow, at least during the opening stage of the game. But because almost nobody knows about this Joseki, this one, you don't really have to worry about it. I'm only showing it to you just so you can use it if your opponent kicks you like this. And the reason black got into this situation is because black pincered this white stone when the opposite side has another white stone. If we have a black stone over here, then when white jumps, black jumps. When white shoulder hits, if you kick, if white plays this move, then let's see what happens. When white attaris, white's growth potential is already limited. So that's why it's always a good idea to only pincer if you have your own stone on the other side. When you jump, what if white, instead of shoulder hitting you like this, white counter-pincers you? The easiest way to deal with it is to shoulder hit first. When white extends, black jumps, white extends, black connects, and white has two floating groups, assuming you have your stone over here. If we have a white stone over here, then if you look at it, both players got one unliving group, one floating group in the middle, and each time black extends, black's getting about 3 points, but each time white extends over here, this moyo is getting too big. That's another reason why you want to pincer only if you have your own stone over here. From here, whatever white does, you're not afraid of white. You can simply take your points. If white plays here, you can simply defend. If white settles, you can go back and attack this. So this fight is not going to be bad for you. When white jumps like this, there might be a question. Can I extend like this? The answer is try not to, because when white plays here, this stone is painful. If black plays here, then white can keep getting this around, and if black just goes back, then all of a sudden white has this moyo over here. Most of the time your opponent is going to attach over here trying to live inside the corner. Then the easiest way to deal with it is to hane, extend, connect, and black still owes you a move here, so black needs to make sure he's alive. And from here you can extend, and this game is still playable for both players. But the thing is, black attaching over here is actually an overplay. So white can hane over here. Black, of course, is going to cut. When white extends, what will be your response? It's probably this one, right? And white is going to atari first. You are going to extend, right? From here, if white cuts, what would be your response? There's a high chance of it being this one, right? When white extends, think about it. Where would you play? You can't play this one because that's an instant death for these two stones. You can't play this one too because white's going to atari and black connects. Another atari, the whole thing is gonna die. From here, blacks probably want to play this one or this one. If black plays this one, white can simply connect these two stones, and with the next move, black is gonna die, so black should atari over here. If white wants, white can atari too. When black takes this stone, white can, if you don't wanna get any stuff happening over here, then you can make sure this stone is dead. If you look at this result, you took the corner and you are still heading outside. And this is not a living group. And these two are too close to the thickness over here. So this result is good for white. There are a few different variations, but this is probably gonna be the most common ones you see in your own games. If you actually tried to find the next moves for black, then you should have realized the first instinct moves are going to get you this result. Which means if you try to do it in your own games, your opponent is going to get this result too. Although there are more difficult variations, but what are the chances of your opponent knowing those variations? This is going to be what your opponent gets for overplaying like this. If you don't want to deal with this complicated punishing your opponent's overplay, then when your opponent attaches here, you hane, he pulls back, you attach, connect, and when your opponent lives, you expand. This is also an acceptable result for you too. Occasionally I see players, instead of playing the normal Joseki and crawl over here, they cut it over here. First of all, white can Atari first. When black extends, white extend to secure this cutting point over here. And if black Ataris, white extends, black Ataris again, white extends. When black plays here, white's going to turn, black blocks, and from here, this is a really common shape in our games. You have to remember the shape. White's going to cut over here. Of course, black is going to Atari. White Atari is here. Again, black has to answer. And when white extends here, then black, it's good to answer. And you see, we will get a ladder here. If the ladder is good for white, then this is going to be a disastrous result for black. But you see, black's corner is over here, which means there's going to be another black stone over here or here. One thing for sure, this diagonal corner is white's corner, and this ladder goes about here. In order for black to get a ladder breaker, black needs to get a stone over here. Usually someone cutting over here, he doesn't cut because he knows the ladder is good for you. He cuts only because he doesn't know what to do and tries to get it into a mud fight, which means he won't be aware of that there's gonna be a ladder over here. So if your opponent cuts you like this, you don't have to worry about it. You can just fight him over here. The result is going to be good for white. When white extends here, there is also chance of black playing this Kosumi over here. Then white needs to extend. Black is going to extend too. White probably needs another move over here. And black is going to Atari this stone. When white extends, black extends and drag it into a mud fight over here. Unless black has a lot of stones over here, then this fight is never going to be favor black player, because you see these two stones split black stones into two groups. Every single move you make, you're attacking two groups at once, and this is a settled group. So you don't have to worry about black cutting you. It's either ladder or this picture. And both pictures are not good for black. To sum it up, if you are in this situation, don't jump. If your opponent jumps, you can first answer it like this. If your opponent slides in on the second line, you can say thank you and take your 3-3. Then you don't have to worry about this corner anymore. And he's going to shoulder hit you. You extend. He extends. You can first make this exchange and keep extending. From here, jump. The chances are your opponent doesn't even know this thing exists. So if he plays away, then you can throw a stone over here and connect. Then all of a sudden, he'll realize that, oh, I have a cutting point over here. Then you can first ask, can I cut? Of course not. Can I cut this one? Nope. And if you really want to be safe, connect up, then the whole thing is dead. If your opponent didn't make this exchange first and then immediately shoulder hits you, then you can kick him first. 99% of the time, he is going to extend down like this, and you can proceed with the normal Joseki. you extend, he extends, and jump. Again, the chances are your opponent doesn't even know this thing exists. So if he plays away, just take everything over here. It's almost impossible that your opponent knows this move, but it's good to know. If he blocks here, you hane, he extends, you extend. When he takes this stone, you can tenuki. But you have to be always aware of this peep over here. What if your opponent counter-pincers you? You can first shoulder hit. When he extends, jump, because you always want your head above your opponent, like this. This way your opponent has two unsettled group in the early game, so this game is going to be a really happy game for you. What if for some reason you jumped and your opponent plays this 2-space extension? Then you can simply small knights him. If he gets passive, then you can further reduce his corner, and if he goes back, then you can simply expand like this. Most of the time your opponent is going to attach over here. The easiest way to deal with it is to hane first. When he extends, you connect your cutting point over there. When black makes sure he's alive, you can expand like this. But always remember, this is an overplay, and someone playing this overplay won't know how to properly deal with this inside hane. The first instinct is probably cut over here. When white extends, again, the first instinct is this. When you're doing this, remember, someone attaching over here probably won't know the variations, so they're gonna just follow their first instincts. When you Atari, they know Ponuki is bad, so they will extend. And when you cut, people can't stop their urge to Atari. So when you play here, all of a sudden they realize this thing is a thing over here. So you can connect back this stone first. If black pushes here, then Atari and everything is gonna die. So black has to take this stone, Atari him again. Black takes this stone, and just to be sure, take this stone. And this way you got the corner and you're still heading out, and this is it's not even alive. So this is good for you. When you jumped and shoulder hit your opponent, what if he wants to cut it? Like this. And you have to remember too, someone cutting this stone is not familiar with the Josekis, and it's almost impossible for them to know that the ladder is going to happen over here. So you can basically Atari him first. When he extends, you extend this stone. And black is going to Atari you. And if he keeps Ataring you, you extend. Of course, he's going to block from here. You turn. When he plays this move, cut it. When he Ataris you, Atari from this side. When he Ataris this stone, Atari these three stones, black is probably going to extend, and you get a ladder over here. When he cuts you and when you Atari him, someone cutting this point over here, there is a very high chance of him counter-Ataring you over here. Then you can simply, you can extend this, but you can simply make a Ponuki over here. If black extends, then he's going to get cut. So black is going to connect white hanes. Even if black cuts over here, it's actually good for you because you have a Ponuki in the middle in the very early game, and this game is going to be a very happy game for you too.